This is CADEsport, the most exciting and dynamic platform we've seen in a long time. I'm so excited about this. Making my debut on one of these CVR World Cup broadcasts. Absolutely thrilling stuff. Can't wait. I've ridden one, but I haven't actually commentated on one. So absolutely looking forward to this. 3 activity playlists we've got for you this evening. Look at this. Race 1's hilly. That's on Lake Ben. Now that is one of my favourite. The scenery is absolutely beautiful. Race 2 is, again, it says hilly. I would not think it's that hilly. It's the Cape Kart Aurora. And if you haven't done one of these kart tracks, they are fantastic. Great for crashing because they've got lots of bends. And Cape Peak has got quite a few as well. Down the bottom there, back to natural scenery. All to look forward to. I've ridden all these courses. They are absolutely fantastic. Now we have 8.5 kilometres in the first race, 3 in the second, and 8.6 kilometres in the third race. So you're looking at 16, 17, about just over 20 kilometres of racing in varied conditions. Most of the hills on these courses are not too steep, so you'll be fine there. The players have power-ups as well. There are different power-ups in different races. So we have race 1. There's a couple of power-ups there. While active, your weight is decreased. That lasts for 20 seconds. There's 2 of those in race 1, I believe. And in race 3, you've got these little lazy boy sections. I'm sure lazy girls as well, where your power is 421 watts, whatever you do for 20 seconds. And I think they've got 3 of those in race 3. Nothing in race 2, where I think they'll be so concentrated on the bends that they won't have time for power-ups. And having ridden these courses, I can tell you, I think that probably is about right. So, all to look forward to, 53 seconds countdown. And of course, with Cade, you can warm up. You can see a rider here warming up. And what happens is, literally seconds before the start, you get transported, this is your rider, to the start line. So the start line actually sort of forms itself very suddenly. Just before the start of the race, as we see one of the riders, Tim Fulford, warming up here. And I see Kay Thompson's in there. She won my race last night. She did very well. So well done, Kay, if you're listening. Great to have you back. Erhan as well, who was watching us last night, actually. So good to see you too, Erhan, in there. 34th out of 43 in the warm-up. Who else have we got in that we might recognise? Oh, Vanessa Moran's in there, I see. And look, you can see the riders now lining up. 2 seconds to go. Now they're all silhouetted at the moment. That means you can ride through other riders, but they'll suddenly go solid. And from there on in, you've got to work your way around other riders. And Lucia is off the front in that Belgian kit, the Italian. Lucas Snyder, I think is... no, sorry, that's not his second name. I do know his second name. Lucia Chiassa, that's it. I was going to say, I knew that, and it all went blank. Fascinating to know why wears that Belgian kit, the Italian. 2 of the great cycling nations in the world, of course, and so many, 4 of the 5 monument races take place in those 2 countries. And Rennie Valdez. Now they're all moving over here to the left-hand side to take the inside line, and Lucia was a little bit slow doing that. It is better to take the inside line. It depends whether or not you've got the autopilot on. It'll do it automatically, but if you're on steering, you have to do it for yourself. And I think Lucia's lost a little bit of ground there as the pack begin to catch up. And we're looking at Rennie Valdez there. So you see Tim Fulford, who we mentioned earlier, up there as they go over onto that right-hand side as they approach the bend. Well, at 1 of 2, we're coming up to the first kilometre. I don't think there'll be too much crashing on this course because these bends are quite steep sweeping, as you can see here, as we go around. Sebastian Kuhn from Germany is from the RSC Auto Bosch Kempten team. He's German national champion judicial MTB Masters several years running. So I think we've got some strength from Seb there, haven't we? And I think I know Seb. I think he's one of my friends on the social side of CADEsport. And remember, if you are signed up to CADEsport, you'll know there's a little social thing where you can make friends with everybody and have a lot of fun communicating and racing together. So, CVR World Cup, Tim Fulford out on the front at the moment. Rennie Valdez, little thumbs up as you see some of the riders. This little peloton here is probably what, something like 1, 2, 3, 4, about 12, 15 riders broken clear, and there's one rider just at the back there, as you can see if you looked on the straight, who's probably drifted off a little bit and needs to make up some ground. If we look here, it is Erhan, as it happens, and Erhan is just falling off the back a little bit. Can you make up that ground and get into the pack? You'd like to think so. I mean, it's not too big a gap, is it? He's got 2-3 seconds. It's doable. It's holding at around 2 seconds, but I think visually he seems to be getting closer. I think it's going to come down to the 1 second point. It is there, and he's back on by the looks of it. He's using a power up, you can see there, and that power up is taking him back. It's just run out now, and the power up getting him back into the in contention. A few power ups being used there. You can see people using up that first power up, and they are still on the flat. No, they're on the hill, so I think people are using that, yes, using the power-ups on the hill, which seems to be a tactic. There were plenty of them there. I guess if you can see the other riders, you know everybody else is doing it, you've got to respond and make sure you don't get left behind. This certainly looks like Timothy Term is pulling off the front a little bit. You can see it's strung out there. That hill's had an effect. Timothy Term now, a little bit about, probably about 1 second gap, I'm guessing, back to Tim Fulford. But look how strung out it is. There's probably only 6 riders in this group who pulled away from the others, and that does make for an interesting point now, because these 6 might well be contesting the whole thing. Timothy Termont there, the Belgian rider, headphones on. Don't know if he's listening to me, or hopefully some fast music that'll keep his rhythm going, as we see these I think it might be 7 riders actually. Yes, it's 7 riders broken away at the front, and then you get this sort of gap back after that. Plenty of swinging over, and I think you can tell there, because they're not all going over to the inside of the bend at the same time. They're clearly on steering rather than autopilot. So 1, 2, 3, this group now up to about 8 riders, and I think this is probably the definitive group, because the gap back after that is a full 8 seconds. If you go back from Tim Fulford back to Mark Alpha, it's full 8 seconds there. So as I say, this group of 8 now probably contesting the race. 3.7 kilometres in of lap 1 of 2. So there's still a long way to go. And if you look at the profile up at the top left hand side, you can see these lead riders now on the downhill. They'll go back onto the flat section at the start of lap 2 and go over that climb one more time. Carl Axel Persson is our next rider in focus there. He's in the lead actually. 44 riders in this, and he's taking the lead there. Just grabbing onto the shelf there as he probably playing around with some controls. Again, you see that the difference in time. Oh, somebody's crashed, and I'm not sure what caused that, because I don't think the bend looked tight enough. I wonder if they've had some sort of other incident there. So we lost 1 rider and strung out the group as well. We're on, as I say, we're on the descent still. Maybe it's just too fast down the descent that's caused that crash. It'd be interesting to find out what actually caused it, because nobody else seemed to be in any difficulty. So whether it was just as I say, somebody just going that little bit too fast, we'll have to find out. That leaves us with just 7 riders in this front group now. Going past some silhouetted riders. Those silhouetted riders are either stopped or possibly on another lap. So if they're moving, they're probably on another lap. Because remember, of course, that our riders now are in lap 2 with 3.5 kilometres to go in this first of 3 races here on CVR World Cup today. So looking backwards at 8th position, these riders can just see that little peloton ahead of them. 2 of them there together, Mark Althen and Jeff there. Jeff in a very sort of Kiwi outfit. Mark Allard Will, the Canadian, just behind on Jeff's Will. It looks to me as if they're making a concerted effort to bridge the gap here, and certainly Jeff is Jeff the Looney, as it says, and That's absolutely brilliant name, isn't it? And what else would you expect from a New Zealander, eh? In the Kiwi outfit there. Jeff Rooney, sorry, I read it wrong. I beg your pardon. I shall have to go down to the opticians after this race. So Jeff Rooney almost making up the gap. Somebody's taking a power up there and just going off. It's Sebastian Kuhn. The power up is just giving him that little spurt. Now remember, this is the second power up. It hasn't got him away from the group though. You can see another wheel coming up behind him. Rene Valdez is just on his wheel, and the rest of the group seem to be catching up there. But it is still strung out. These 7 now racing the last little bit. They've got 2.4 kilometres to go. Another power up going off the front there. Carl Axel is the man doing it. Power ups to follow from the others. Everybody burning out their second power up there. So nobody's going to use a power up on the final sprint. Look, I think every single one of those riders now doing the power up just to stay in the mix, but it's looking like 3 of them are getting away. Randy Valdez, Carl Axel and Tim Fulford looking like the 3, but they are joined by Frank Garcia, the Cade man himself. This quartet now pursue the last little bit. They're still going up the hill, of course, so remember that this is a bit of effort and you can still break this. Tim Fulford goes for it. No power-ups here, but he's causing a gap. He's got 1 second on the others and it looks like it's extending. Can he extend it even more? It's up to 2 seconds now for Tim Fulford. This is a massive effort. He's going to do it over the top of the hill and hope that the descent is enough for him to... he's up to 3 seconds now. This is emphatic now. The others can do nothing about this. And if he can just hold this on the descent, up to 4 seconds back to 3rd place. If he can hold this now on the descent, he's absolutely wrapped this first race up. Rene Valdez from the United States, Carl Axel, the Swede. Now Carl is going for it. Now Carl is going to chase. The gap at the moment between Carl and Tim is about 3 seconds. Can Carl do anything about this? He's about to crest the climb. It's all about the descent. 1.3 kilometres to go, and Carl is going to have to put in a supreme effort and pedal downhill very, very hard if he's going to make up this gap. But can he do it? Can he do it? It's 5 seconds now. Looks like Tim's still pulling away. It looks a little bit futile now because I think at 5 seconds, with only 1 kilometre to go, Tim Fulford should hold on to this first leg of the race. Carl looks good for 2nd place, or does he? Sebastian Kuhn now leading the charge from the next little clutch of riders. 3 riders chasing him down as they go under the... I suppose it's over the bridge, actually, isn't it? Tim Fulford now is clean away with 700 metres to go. He should be able to do this. It's pretty much downhill till the finish. Carl has got a good 2 seconds though on Sebastian Kuhn in the bunch. Somebody's got a power up left. Somebody there. It's Frank Garcia. He saved one till late on the downhill, trying to make it count, but I think he's stuck with stuck in the trio that he's in, so it's not going to count. Tim Fulford now 300 metres before glory in the first race. He'll be able to see the finishing line any moment now as we come round this sweeping bend. The last throws of the race, 100 metres, and you can see the finishing line. Tim Fulford takes a glorious victory. Absolutely fantastic. A full 3 seconds ahead of Axel, who was valiant and absolutely superb. Puts his head in his hands, as it always does when you aren't the winner. But what a fantastic finish from Tim. Absolutely brilliant, and well done, Carl. And look at that. It's still tussling for the minor places. Rene Valdez settling there for... I'm not sure where he is, actually. Anyway, there's a settling for position. Now, the riders will be transporting themselves over to the second race now, and you can see people disappearing off the... this is the Thompson family in those yellow jerseys, Kay and Dean, who counts himself as Homer. So these people will be transporting themselves... I'd say Dean 9th and Kay 10th. Great little family finish there. Jeff the Looney, it did say the Looney. See, Jeff Rooney the Looney. So great. Lucha did well at 5th. Timothy Termont, the Belgian, in 4th after Frank Garcia, of course. Sebastian Kuhn from Germany, 6th. Rene Valadez, 7th. Jeff Rooney, 8th. Homer, Dean Thompson, Kay Thompson. They're a great little family cycling team, aren't they? Mark Allard World from Canada, 11th, and Rebecca Bertram from Denmark in 12th place. And look at the time gaps here. Not quite, but about 45, nearly a minute back to 12th place. Tim Fulford well away, 3.196 seconds ahead of Carl himself. Almost a second in front of Frank, but then the gaps start getting a little bit bigger as we go down, and people came in dribs and drabs. Now that's race one. Well, if we've got two more of those to come, this is going to be an absolutely thrilling session. Can't wait. Now this Aurora, I have to say, I rode this the other day, and I've put a little preview of it up on my own West London cycling website. I thought this was awesome. I love these kart courses. I've done a couple now, and I will do the rest. They are basically set out on go-karting courses. And where they get really, really interesting is because they have so many bends that you're forced to negotiate the bends rather than just go for pure power. Now, if you look on the right-hand side of race 2, you'll see there's a profile there. There's a map. You can see where the bends are. This one's not as sweeping as the straightforward kart one, which has much tighter bends than this. But I think this one it's tight enough for crashing, but not as tight as one of the other ones, the Cade kart one. Now you will see the profile underneath. You see there's a couple of dips and then a hill at the end. It rises. This is set in what I can only imagine sort of its equivalent of a parking lot or something like that. We see the warm up here. And nice little crash there. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. Getting there, lining up on the start line now, all set to go. This is going to be great, isn't it? I can't wait. This is going to be crashes galore. Off they go. Silhouetted at the moment, and already the first rider off. Too eager, crashing already. And look at this. It is Crash City, and the one person, it's the Kiwi, isn't it? He's stayed up. If you stay up, you can win these, believe me. And another crash there, as we see more and more riders just crashing by trying to race around these bends when actually the skill is to stay up. Now, I'm fascinated. There's not too much steering going on here. I think there we go. Finally. And Timothy Thiem, the Belgian, now is in first place and immediately crashes, which probably means about to lose that place, and maybe not actually. Stays up. I'm delighted to see them crashing, because I crashed a lot less when I did this, but I wasn't racing anybody, so I wasn't really fighting to go that fast. Now here we have the dip. Now you have to be very careful here, because you build up the speed. The tendency is to pedal very hard to get yourself up the ramp, but straight away you're in a bend, and if you don't brake correctly, you won't get around it. That was superb. Absolutely exemplary. Vibeke there, Bertram, the Dane. Absolutely exemplary riding there. Avoided the crash and has stayed in first position. And this is what this is all about. It's about the staying up. Now, we have a couple of riders here together, which looks interesting. And as we come down, this is the raised bit at the end, and gently going round there. I'm not sure how fast they're going, but you can see how gentle it is. Then straight into that dip, and now you can save that. You can see that skid across there, almost a crash. And what's actually happened is, I suspect, he's just tapped the space bar and saved it. People are falling all over the place. This is pure entertainment, isn't it? It's absolutely great. As we watch this rider, it's as soon as you're about to compliment and say they did brilliantly, they hit the next one. That was Casey Shum in that instance, and I think we're still following Casey, aren't we? Around the inside, I don't think that being on the inside or the outside makes a lot of difference to the steering and staying up, but it does. You will get a quicker time if you take the inside of bends. Now that's good. Oh, just save that one. You see the skid across there? Just tap in the brakes to make sure that it stayed under control, and it did. Absolutely superb. Now down the ramp we go. It's up the ramp now. This is where you have to brake. If you don't, you're going to crash, and that's what happens. if you don't break into the corner. And the problem is you're pedaling hard to get up that ramp and you've built up speed on the dip into it. Absolutely beautiful the way they've constructed this course to make it so exciting. Carl Axel Persson, the Swede there, now tightly around that bend, just arrests that little skid as it comes out of it. Another bend to go up into the raised section at the end of the lap. It's lap 2 out of 4, remember, on the inside here, staying gently, hugging that bend down into the dip. Remember, you have to take care coming out of this. He goes on to the bend and negotiates that fantastically. Straight into another one. Got to be very, very cautious here. Tendency to accelerate out, but these bends come thick and fast. I think he's making ground up on the riders in front, though. One on a different lap because they're silhouetted. So I wouldn't read too much into that. The first one we're going to overtake is the silhouetted one. Carl now in second place behind Casey Schum, of course. And it's a question of whether or not he can catch Casey. There's only 1 second in there. We should be able to see Casey ahead. Yeah, we can. Sorry, that's Carl, isn't it? So I say 3 seconds. Oh, I see Carl's in the lead now. So it's case of lap 3 out of 4, 1.1k to go. It's about staying up for Carl now, I think. Oh, and who's that? Oh, that's Sebastian Kuhn on that crash. Timothy Termet, the Belgian now, we're following. He's going to take a few bends in quick succession. As I say, it's hard. You have to be careful about who you're sort of chasing. You can see the rider in front of Tim there is silhouetted, which means on a different lap. Timothy Termet. So it's round the bend, very, very cautiously, takes the inside again. Being overtaken, but I think that's a silhouetted rider, so that's not going to bother him too much. It's all about the rider in front, which is Sebastian Kuhn. 6 seconds ahead. Carl now is a good 2 seconds ahead of Casey Schum and looks set to win as he goes on to lap 4 of 4. He's only got 700 metres to go. Carl could be in for the win here. Casey Schum just 1 second behind. One fall could lose Carl Axel this race, so he's got to be absolutely clinical about his bends. Down here, he's got 1 second still on Casey. Up he comes. Can he get around this one without falling? Yes, he can. He's only got 600 metres to go. You'll notice that 600 metres doesn't disappear anything like as fast as in the other race because they're just not doing the speeds, are they? Hugging the inside. And he's now got 6 or 7. I think Casey must have fallen because he's got 6.7s on Casey. I'm guessing there's probably about a 4 second delay, but of course you have to accelerate as well, so you'll lose more than 4 seconds on a crash. So Carl just needs to stay up to win this. I think he's got 300 metres to go, but it's not dead cert. He's got another one of these dips. No need to power your way out of this one, Carl. You've got it made if you play it cool. He takes that bend with aplomb round the next one. He's only got 200 metres to the finish. Another one of these tight bends, a right-hander this time. They come in quick succession though, so you can't eat up too much. He's got a bit of a straight. He's into the last 100 metres. Just over this, round this last bend. Oh, who we got crashing there? I think Carl's going to win. We've moved. Sebastian Kuhn is now up into second, so Casey's lost another place. And there we are. The victory salute, Carl Axel. Played it very, very cool and stayed upright. The message comes up that the next race starts in 3 minutes, of course. So the riders have the opportunity to transport themselves across to race 3, which is Cape Peak, of course. And we get another crash right into the oil drums. Ooh, yeah. Thank goodness this isn't real life. No barriers here, of course. It's precariously raised tracks as we see another finisher, this time Timothy Termet, the Belgian. And here we have another one. People sitting up as they finish. I see back there. Oh, and another oh, look, that's a nasty corner. There's plenty of crashes there as we watch Rene Valadez come in for the United States. Oh dear, that was a slide and a half, wasn't it? It's fantastic. I think that's one of the Thompson twins. Actually, I shouldn't. That was interesting, wasn't it? That's Kay Thompson, I think, finishing there, wasn't it? I assume they're husband and wife. rather than Thompson twins. Anybody who's ever read Tintin books in the English-speaking world will know that Thompson twins, or Thompson and Thompson, were of course the two detectives from Tintin. In this case, Thompson and Thompson are of course Kay and Dean, who bills himself as Homer in these. So Sebastian Kuhn managed second place. Casey Schum with a fall, losing that second place to Sebastian. Timothy Termont from Belgium beating Vibeke Bertram from Denmark. Jeff Rooney, the New Zealand, picked Tim Fulford. Tim Fulford, the winner of race 1, of course. Renaud Valadez, Kay Thompson and Frank Garcia doing a trio of slots there for the United States, just beating Lucia Ilducha and Vanessa Mon, 12th. I think she's been practicing. Vanessa, have you been practicing? I reckon you have. She has access to these things and knows far more about these courses than I could possibly ever know. So well done, Vanessa. So on to race 3. Now, I love this one. This is Cade Peak. There's enough bends for some crashing. It won't be quite as much crash city as we were in the last one. 8.6 kilometres to go in this third race now. A medium difficulty course, and as I say, there's enough bends to crash if you try and push the race too hard. And you can see the profile on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can see the top half of it is much more sort of bendy and twisty, and the bottom half a little bit more straight. There is a hill right in the middle. Again, I don't think the gradients on the Cade courses are too difficult. But of course, under racing conditions, any gradient can be difficult. So don't underestimate that. 56 metres or 66 metres of climbing. Watching the warm-up, they're on the start line now. 7 seconds to go. And who have we got in here? The usual Carl Axel's still in there. Roger Larkin, I see, as they go off. And I'm not sure. 44 riders still in it, it says. So they're silhouetted at the moment. And straight off the front, it's Vibeke Bertram, the Dane, who's got 1 second on people in third, but I think this will group together. I mean, you're going back to Tim Fulford there. It's only a 3 second gap, but I think it's probably going to pull together into peloton. That said, there's a couple of these little bends early on that could cause enough crashes to thin that out. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe the catch-up will be in the second half of the course. The bends are quite swinging. Now, you have to steer around this. You have to get in the middle here. If you hit those, if you hit the little logs at the side of the bridge, you'll be over. So, Erhan Kanalkila is in the lead at the moment, Turkish rider. And a little bit of a sort of squiggly chicane there. Oh, somebody crashed on it. There's 2 crashes on there. And you should be able to get through those if you steer right. So, I think somebody trying to steer around another rider probably was the problem there. This is thinner than I expected. I thought this would group into a peloton much more readily than it has. And what we've actually got is about 8 riders have pulled away from everybody else, which is kind of what happened in race 1. But I'm a little bit surprised here. I wouldn't have expected it to be quite the same. The 8 riders not quite in a group, and you can see that this is possibly... you see Dean Thompson at the back of the 8. It's probably not going to be 8 riders by the end of lap 1. We'll have to see. 8.6 kilometres of racing, and still up there in first place. Casey Schum just behind her, Vibeke Bertram, Frank Garcia, Vanessa Merhan, inspired by her 12th place in the last race, is now up with the main group. Carl Axel, the winner of that one, Jeff Rooney and Dean Thompson all in there. And Timothy Turner. Oh, we've had a crash. And that's 2 crashes. And this is how it thins out. So slightly more crashing than I expected. And I think this might be due to the pressure they're putting them on themselves to go fast. Now, this is the best bit of this course, the obstacles. You have to steer around these obstacles. Expect crashes in this section, because if you don't steer right, or if you're forced out into the obstacles by one of the other riders, you're going to hit them and crash. And we're looking backwards at the riders. Oh, see, just missing one of those obstacles. We don't see when they're coming. If you look from behind the riders, you can see them coming. You have to negotiate with those gaps. Oh, and somebody else goes off the bend. Now, the interesting thing will be, if this was a peloton, there'd be a squeeze there and people would be forced into these bollards. But this is where steering comes into its own on CADEsport. You need to steer around those. Now, these thin out about now, and they go down the hill. These are the last few, just negotiating around those rocks, and they will then shortly go downhill, and then they sort of kind of stop again because they're all on the main hill. So don't expect too many more. A couple more there. Mind you, we're down into Sebastian Kuhn back in ninth place there. Vanessa Merton is on her screens. She is first at the moment, and I think that's is that because of crashing, or is she overtaken her? And I must have missed that. So well done, Vanessa. Very inspired from 12th place in the last race. Probably took the obstacle. Oh, her hand's gone. This gives Vanessa clear air between her and the next rider. 6 seconds now. She'll take this. There's a long way to go, 6 kilometres to go. So we're over a quarter of a way through the race, but still 6 kilometres to go. Vanessa knows the obstacles. That bridge is another obstacle. You have to obviously steer into the centre of the road to get through it. And again, if you're in a peloton, you could get forced into that. I think it's a bit too strung out for that to happen. On the bridge above, you can see riders going over the top of that. That's because, as Erhan finishes lap 1, that's because the route crosses itself in places. Going past a couple of stranded riders by the looks of things, they don't seem to be moving. Several more there as well, so not quite sure what's going on. Somebody using a power-up now. Frank Garcia getting caught by somebody doing a power-up. It's Carl Axel, the winner of the last race. Did that take so much out of him that he's now struggling a little bit on this one? I say power-up, of course. These were lazy boys, weren't they, on this one? You had 3 lazy boys where you would do 421 watts regardless of how hard you pedal. So you can basically sit up and get a little bit of a boost. Frank, though, on those aero bars, just missing the side of the bridge. Again, you have to steer through that one. Carl out of the saddle, trying to give it that chase. Carl Axel Persson for Sweden, coming around that bend, just taking that little squiggle cautiously. We saw people crash on that last time through, didn't we? And he goes around this more sweeping bend and puts a bit more effort in. You can see Carl in picture there, 47 kph. This is pretty fast stuff. Everybody in Pro Power, of course. Oh, look, and he's caught Vanessa. Sorry, not caught Vanessa. He's caught. Just trying to think who has caught. He's caught Frank, hasn't he? Frank on the aero bars there. I think you can probably choose your bike. I don't have aero bars on mine, so I'm not sure if everybody's got access there. Oh, and Carl's taking him. Frank just getting left there. Can Frank sit on his wheel and make the most of it? No, I think Carl's pulling away. Carl, obviously a strong rider, as we saw in the last race, up into second now as he takes Erhan. So Erhan and Frank now forming a little duo. They should work together and try and use the draft effectively. But Carl now is pushing hard to chase down Vanessa. 10 seconds is the gap. This is going to be about staying up. Now, of course, if you look where they're at, they're going to go up the hill in a minute. And guess what? The little obstacles are going to start. And if Carl doesn't do those as well as Vanessa, she's still in with a chance, isn't she? Now, here's Vanessa now. She goes around one obstacle. She knows the lines. She's sitting on that inside line. You can't sit on the inside line forever. But 9 seconds, Carl is catching. But I think it'll be a case of if Carl hits any of those bollards, see, that's why you can't stay on the inside line, because all of a sudden you get some that poke out onto the road. She's got around all of those with aplomb, absolutely doing that skillfully and superbly. Takes the inside line. Carl is still up though. The gap is down to 7 seconds. He's catching. Does he know these obstacles well? Does he know what he's doing? Has he practiced this course? The gap is coming down rapidly now. It looks like he's going to catch Vanessa. Looks like the obstacles have been no problem for Carl on this one as he goes, just past that one. Narrowly misses it. Through the middle of these ones, he should be okay. Needs to go either on the white line or to the left. It's great. He's got round the corner. I think he's negotiated most of them now, so there are a few more, but I think you can see Vanessa ahead. So it's out to 9 seconds actually. So maybe the obstacles have slowed him down a little bit. 9 seconds. This is still good for Vanessa. It's 3.4 kilometres to go, so lap 2 of 3. She's in with a chance, but Carl looks very powerful, doesn't he? And I think it's really, he caught up quite a lot, and then the obstacle slowed him down. So really, if Vanessa can keep a gap to the next time they confront the obstacles, she's got a shout. But Carl needs to press, and get that gap down. So we can see Vanessa, she's within his sight. Carl going for the double victory now. He's got his prey in sight. She needs to move into the centre of the road to avoid the sides of the bridges. This is where the steering comes in. Carl now hunting down his quarry as they go into lap 3. This is the end of lap 2. Vanessa in the lead, but it's only 2 seconds. She's out the saddle, pushing hard. Carl enters the final lap with her. Have they got any of the lazy boys left? Can Vanessa make it work for her? We don't know how many they've used, I don't think. And it's... mind you, that gap's not really closing a lot. Vanessa's working hard. And there's a couple of stranded riders there, not quite sure why. Those guys must be on another lap. They were moving, but they're silhouetted, so they're not on the same lap. This gap, Vanessa's out to 4 seconds. She's pulled out 4 seconds. This is amazing. Maybe she used one of the lazy boys when we were looking elsewhere. As she takes that bridge, avoiding the logs at the side. And she's got a 6 second gap on Carl now. That gap, maybe Carl's pushed himself too hard trying the catch. If Vanessa can get through those obstacles with this sort of gap, I think she can win it. This is absolutely phenomenal. Carl, the winner of the last race, tries that little slippery chicane bit. But Vanessa now, 7 seconds is a good lead with 2 kilometres to go. We can see Carl behind. It's exciting stuff. It's a split screen now. You can see Carl. He can see what he's chasing. Vanessa needs to press a button B and look back and see where Carl is. Maybe not. She can just look at the data. If you look on the screen, the data is up there, depending how you've got your screen set up. And Carl uses a lazy boy. He's determined to make up the gap. And you can see the gap visibly closing with this lazy boy. Has Vanessa got any lazy boys left? Oh, it's down to 4 seconds. And Vanessa uses a lazy boy too. She needs to make up the 3 seconds. She just lost to that last one. And it's sticking at 4, which is very, very in the balance now. She probably needs to make a little bit more up then. Although having said that, if she hadn't done it, maybe Carl would have caught up some more. So maybe it's slightly psychologically affecting Carl because he hasn't closed the gap entirely with 1.4k to go. And we're about to hit the obstacles where you have to negotiate them. You have to cycle cautiously to make sure you don't fall. That's 5 seconds. Vanessa has got an extra second now as come into the last 1.3k. Carl negotiating the obstacles, and this is it. You have to focus on the obstacles at this point. The gap is 5 seconds still. It's a case of can it? It's still 1.3 kilometres. I suspect Vanessa's looking at the distance, wondering if it ever comes down. 1.1 kilometres now. Carl going through his obstacles, only just misses that one. Gets through again cleanly, but there's a bend straight away. Some more obstacles for Carl as he goes round the bend. Here come the obstacles. He glides. Oh, it's very, very close. He's only just missing them, which is kind of fine. But the gap is now 7 seconds. I think Vanessa knows how to do these obstacles. Oh no, I'll tell you a lie. It's 3 seconds. Sorry. Carl is closing that gap. There's only 800 metres to go. Vanessa needs to absolutely charge, but Carl himself is being caught by Timothy Turmett. Oh, Timothy too eager to catch Carl. And I think Carl secured second place with that. Carl's still got 700 metres to go and 3 seconds behind Vanessa. Vanessa can get the win here, but it's going to be very, very close. And she's needing to put some power in. 3 seconds with 600 metres to go. She could still lose this, but it's out to 4 seconds. Carl now pressing hard, but he's being chased by Jeff Rooney on this occasion. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. 4 seconds gap with 400 metres to go. I think Vanessa can do this, but Carl needs to make sure he doesn't let second place slip. He's being chased by Jeff Rooney now. Timothy Turmott in 4th. Frank Garcia is in 5th place. Vanessa now only has 200 metres. You can see Axel behind. Has he got any lazy boys left? She goes through the bridge. She can see this finishing line ahead of her. She needs to push and push and push. Only 100 metres with 3 seconds to go. 2 seconds. Carl puts in a late bid can't quite do it, and Vanessa gets an absolutely phenomenal win and does the victory salute. What a win, well done. Round of applause from Carl's avatar there. Timothy Termott taking third spot. Wow, what a race, absolutely fantastic. Can't fault that, Vanessa, very well done indeed. Superb riding. As we see others coming in, Sebastian Kuhn now in for 5th place, the German, and that was absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it? Puts his head in his hands, but a great race anyway. Frank still on his tri-bars, also puts his hands on his head. So does everybody just adjust their helmet when they get there? Her hand's going to roll in next after a valiant ride, and does the same little gesture. Dean Thompson and Kay Thompson coming in as a duo, or I think there might be a little bit of a gap between them. Dean taking the earlier slot out of the Thompson twins. That's what I'm going to call them. I hope they're not too insulted there. They seem very nice, actually. I've communicated with them on Strava, and they seem a very nice couple, actually. And isn't it great to them riding around together like this? Kay's just lost the place to Lucia by the looks of things. So I know she takes it back. Look at that power. Absolutely phenomenal. Kay's in a good vein of form, a rich vein of form at the moment. Vibeke is next to Vibeke Bertram from Denmark, and Casey Schum, United States, I think he's taking that as quite a leisurely finish, not looking like he's too bothered about Tim Fulford making up any gap, because there's a good clean 5 seconds between them, and Tim rolling in similarly under no threat, I think, from the next rider, who is full 45, quite a long way behind, actually. So which is as I say, there's quite a long way back to all these riders now, isn't there? So Turkish rider here coming in with just 500 meters to go. Stunning graphics as ever on this course. Absolutely love this course. I think it's plenty of bends, and all the obstacles make it so interesting. And we saw that, didn't we? Not quite as many crashes on the karting course, of course, but nevertheless, for an outdoor course, absolutely phenomenal. Just coming up to the bridge now. Need to get off that white line, move to the centre of the road to get through the bridge. And that's done absolutely perfectly. Finish line in sight. And now, with 12 seconds back to Lorraine, I think it's a fairly safe bet that Ugert is going to finish safely. So that's it. More stunning scenery. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. And there we have it. Vanessa, queen again. Carl Axel's hander person. Wow, did you put some effort in? It wasn't enough on the day, though. Great racing in the race before, of course, from Carl. Timothy Termont, the Belgian. Jeff Rooney from New Zealand. Sebastian Kuhn in 5th for Germany. Frank Garcia is 6th, Erhan 7th. And the Thompsons did actually come in together. I thought they didn't. Oh, that's right, yes, because Kay did that big spurt, didn't she, at the end to beat Lucia, and he finishes 10th. So the Thompsons finishing it as a duo. I think Kay should just make tandems and just put them on tandem, really. That would work out much better. Vibeke Bertram after that. Absolutely phenomenal racing. So race 1, Tim Fulford, Carl Axel person, 3 podiums in 3 races. It's probably a top racer of the day. But nevertheless, Tim Fulford emphatic in race 1. Frank Garcia put up some great performances. Casey Schum did well in race 2, but unfortunately crashed and blew it a little bit. Timothy Termont gets a mention in race 3. Vanessa Mahan, wow, that was phenomenal, Vanessa. I take my hat off to you, chapeau. This has been absolutely fantastic. This is World Cup CVR racing on CADEsport, the most exciting platform around at the moment. And I don't know if you've got any highlights or anything like that to do, but if not, I think it's probably time for me to wrap this up. But I don't want to go. It's just fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely. You know what? I think I probably do need to wrap up, because I think my throat needs some liquid refreshment after all that excitement. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I'm sure those of you who raced have had a thrilling time. This really is the platform of the future. We'll be back on Thursday, by the way, so there's plenty more to come this week and more racing on Saturday from World Cup CVR on CADEsport. We'll see you then. Bye.